We're going to use different fittings for the in and the outlet on this version. So I have a couple of hose barb fittings that I'm going to thread into the in and the outlets.
In its intended application for a jellyfish tank, we would have union fittings, which would allow for the easy disconnect and removal of the chiller out of a cabinet or an in-wall application. Here in an outdoor application, we're going to use hose barb fittings, and just as we're going to hook this unit up, we would be able to disconnect it as easily by simply removing the hoses off the barbs.
Now, as we hook this up, we have to be aware of two things: the in and the out, as in which one of these hoses is in and out, and two, where it's going to draw its cool air from and where it's going to get rid of its hot air. It discharges this direction. This is a dog igloo type house, and it has only one opening. I think it would be important to try to get the heat out of there, and so I'm going to set it up so that the opening of the igloo is right here, and I'll drill some holes in the back end of the igloo to allow cool air back in. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the hoses, and then we'll drill the holes in the igloo.
It is important to know which is the in and which is the out, because what we want to do is fill up that chiller barrel, forcing the air out of that canister that the evaporator coil or the refrigeration coils are in, forcing that air out the top of that canister. There is one other issue, and that is a safety issue. We do not want the electrical connection lying at the bottom of the pan, because if it gets wet, the pan is what's going to hold the water. So we want to reroute that power cord so that the electrical connection is in a much safer position. And of course we do want a secure, tight connection with the clamps over the ends of the hose where they meet or slip over the hose barb fittings. We don't want this coming disconnected.
Okay.
And now that everything is connected back together, we'll plug in first the digital thermostat, which is what tells us what the temperature is and controls when the refrigeration unit comes on. And then plug in the main circulation pump, as well as begin to open up the 3 valves. And as you can see, we now have circulation.
That's impressive. Okay, she's plugged in, running. We're going to go ahead and modify the igloo. I think that's a much cleaner installation. Make sure your power cord doesn't lay down where when it does rain, the water would get into it. You want to have it slightly elevated. And again, this is the discharge end where all the heat's coming out. This will be the inlet end. So I'm going to take and allow the opening of the igloo to be the discharge, and then I'm going to take and drill some holes on the back side to allow that to be the inlet. Okay, there's the igloo doghouse. The discharge is coming out on this side, and you can feel the heat. Plenty of room for that air to exit there. And here are the holes that I drilled, which are the inlets to allow the cool air in there. And at the same time, the dome protects the whole unit, electrically and mechanically, and is a clean installation, whereas before it wasn't clean.
We want to go through and make sure that all the connections are still holding tight and that the temperature is actually coming down. We'll wait to see if it pulls down to 89. We're also going to go through and double check, make sure there's no fittings that are leaking any water or any problems in the tank as a result of the elevated temperature.
Okay, appears as though LA Fish Guy saved the day. So let's clean up and go home and start our weekend.